It's Wednesday and you're tuned to Jasiri. Midweek often brings a mix of reflection and momentum. We're not at the start and we're not at the end. We're just smack in the middle of it. And that's exactly where Jasiri lives, in the thick of conversations that matter. Whether it's power and policy, identity and influence, or the voices we don't hear often enough. We'll go beyond the headlines to uncover the heartbeat of the continent. So welcome to the space where your voice matters, where we don't just consume news, we question it, unpack it, and connect it to our lives. We're just getting started today, but first.
Let me just say, we're awaiting President Bola Tinubu's arrival in Makurdi in Benue State, and we'll be coming to you live with that once it's happened. But we are, of course, giving you an update right now on the saga around the senior pastor of House on the Rock Church, Pastor Paul Adefarasin, after an encounter with a content creator earlier this month. Now, on Tuesday, the Lagos State Police Command tweeted that he had turned himself in at the Lagos State Police Command headquarters, Ikeja, and was being interrogated by detectives who have commenced investigation on the case since a video surfaced online showing the pastor holding a gun-like object up against another road user while driving an unregistered vehicle. This comes about 2 weeks after this video went viral.
Boss. Sorry.
Now, I hope to get the tweets from the police command. Now, a few hours after the initial tweet, the Lagos Police Command updated Nigerians that after being interrogated, Adefarasin had volunteered a cautionary statement to investigators. The command said what was recovered from him was not a lethal weapon or firearm, but a stun gun, which is a prohibited anti-riot equipment. He was granted bail while investigations continue into the case.
In response to the wave of public speculation, the pastor released a statement after the incident clarifying that the item in question was not a firearm. In court, you might be aware of a video circulating on social media showing me in what some have misunderstood as brandishing a firearm. I want to assure you that that certainly was not a firearm, and at no point did I point such at anyone, end of quote. He also addressed the situation in church the following Sunday. Here is what he said.
It wasn't even their target. Their target was to make more money. And I was falsely accused of bearing a firearm, pointing a firearm at an aggressive content creator who came within personal distance. The only thing separating me and him was about maybe 3/4 of a meter and glass. I do not have a pistol license for a firearm. I do not carry a firearm, and I pointed no firearm at anybody. Amen. And it's our policy not to dignify hate speech, false accusations. We believe that God is bigger than that. And we believe in what is said in Romans 12 and verse 19. And it was unique because it came home on a Saturday when I observed.
Police spokesperson Benjamin Ndenyi has however confirmed that Pastor Adefarasin is cooperating fully and assured the people that the outcome of this investigation will be made public. So what are the people saying? Let's take some reactions now. Has made another tweet just for formality. The next thing they will tell you is another epic story. A country ruled by impunity cannot deliver good policing. That's Oloye Abiola. Honestly, I don't think Nigerians need this type of information at this time. True, you're doing your job, but please tell Nigerians that you have arrested those who committed the crime in Benue. I think the Lagos police is different from every other police command in Nigeria. Though not yet what we obtain abroad, I'm really pleased with your service. And so there are a lot more reactions to this, but we took this story when it broke and drove into it. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was particularly what the pastor said on the pulpit. He also referenced Romans 12:19. Yes, there it is. And that passage is one that it says, do not bend, depending on the interpretation, but this is from the NIV. It says, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. And I was disturbed then, and I'm disturbed now in a situation where you've turned yourself in. You were on the pulpit, and you said it was basically almost weapons fashioned against you, that it was the plans of the devil, that they were trying to attack the church. It feels like there's a whole lot of gaslighting. And when we talked about the statement, I remember what Lois said. We said, okay, if you say it's not a gun, what is it? Yeah. What were you holding in your hand? You gave a statement that did not fill in all the blanks. And now here we are a week or so later, you're filling in the blanks with the police. I think there's also an apology to be made as well.
Yeah. Innocent until proven guilty has now been granted bail. I mean, we were dragged for this, so I really cannot comment. It's church members.
Yeah, because it went all in. Okay, Lola wasn't on the table when we had this.
But you're here now.
But you're here now, so yeah, would like to hear what you think. Because, you know, there are layers to this conversation. You cannot be contradicting yourself.
You know, a lot of times we have actually put our men of God on a pedestal, like a godlike pedestal. We forget that they're humans as any one of us can be. And in their humanity, they can err. So what I know is that he's a man of God and a respected one for that. And if he's doing anything illegal, then I think he would do the proper thing. If it's, he has said, the police have said categorically that it wasn't a gun.
But what it was is still illegal.
A stun gun. Then if it's not legal to carry stun gun, then maybe whatever the law would have to do about that, of course he would have to submit himself to it. He will no longer be, because he's a man of God. If you're not licensed to carry a stun gun, or you are not aware that you need a license, ignorance is still not an excuse in law. So he would have to face the music, or whatever fine penalties that the law deems that he would pay. And at least this will give education to a lot of people, because we need to know specifically the kind of licenses. Like I went to Abuja, and I did see some people stop us because we're a very big SUV. And they said you needed to show an SUV permit.
A what?
I've never heard of that.
And then, is it a specific type?
Yeah, exactly. Driving a truck, driving an SUV, like a Tundra. You need to show
the last one I know is the tinted
I was in the car with the representative, a very stately gentleman. I do not know his name, but he represented the Olu of Warri. So we're in the car together, and both of us said we are not aware that this is a law. I said, is it an Abuja law? But the people that jumped us on the road, the driver had to show the actual ID card.
So are you sure it's not about the license plate?
No,
the particular.
I asked, is it for tinted? Because I have to...
No, not for tinted windows, but because of these, like diplomatic license plates or official license plates, you need to have...
No, they said it's a permit you have to carry for an SUV.
And this is not a recent law. It's not a recent
I
thing.
said, I am not aware. And I said when I get back to Lagos, I was going to research a little. So Nigerians really need to know what licenses you need. I don't know now that a lot of us now want to protect ourselves. How about if I can't pepper spray? Do I need
pepper spray? Is illegal. Let me just tell you now. It's illegal.
So look at that.
No, there was a situation a few years ago that I had the police actually coming out to let people know, particularly women, that stun guns and pepper spray are illegal in Nigeria. But even talking about this firearm situation, so in Nigeria, illegal possession of a firearm carries a severe penalty. The Robbery and Firearms Special Provisions Act stipulates a minimum sentence of 10 years imprisonment for anyone found guilty of possessing a firearm without a license. The Act also specifies a fine of 20,000 naira imprisonment, but we're not talking about a firearm here, because even the police has come out to say that it's a stun gun. But in Nigeria, while there isn't a specific law that's directly outlawing the stun guns, the police have said they're illegal. Possessing one can lead to legal trouble. If a stun gun is used to threaten, intimidate, or commit a crime, it can be treated as a dangerous weapon under the Criminal Code Act, and this could result in charges under sections 80 or 249 of the Criminal Code, potentially leading to arrest and prosecution.
These are the laws that we need to now look at, and as far as I'm concerned, because everywhere, at least in most developed countries, carrying a pepper spray, it seems like
as a normal thing.
A normal thing for us women. We pass alleyways, so they need to be specific. We cannot keep interpreting laws
for ourselves.
For ourselves.
So I think this
There
is an
should be
opportunity again. Yeah.
Specification. This is like it might actually from this not know that it is against the law.
But does he not know that his car should not be driven without being registered?
That's a separate conversation. In law, they can't lump everything together. It will be given every charge is separate.
If it goes that far.
So if it goes that far, every charge is separate. Carrying a stun gun, driving an unregistered vehicle, different. So it's not going to be lumped together.
Let me also add this. Under Section 5 of the Firearms Act of 1968, they say stun guns are classified as firearms, but there's no stun gun in 1968. So there's a terminology thing. So yes, this is an opportunity for the police to clarify these things.
Yeah.
So I want to say this issue of man, I'm so sorry, this issue of man of God. Guys, I'm a PK. I'm a reverend doctor's daughter. And one of the things I've always told my father is, before anything, you're a man before you're a man of God. This idea that men of God or people who claim to be his servants, because there are many who call his name, but are actually not called by him, and that's not necessarily the situation. But this idea that once you claim you're a man of God or once you're a man of God, that you're above reproach is not it. You're not above reproach.
You are not above reproach. I don't even think there's any Bible biblical specification that says that, oh, if a man of God is erring.
No, if you look at that, that video, the good pastor turned streets in a couple of seconds because from his expression, like
you don't know what his experience has been.
Yeah, but that's street, and that's the language we understand in Nigeria. You have to get some kind of street thing going on, and that is not breaking any law.
Yes,
that is not against any law. And then you knew that, whether we like it or not, there are people who feel that they're above others. It's a classist system.
Even if they don't feel it, sometimes society puts them in that place, that gives them that.
Yeah. But suddenly, mine is the gaslighting and the defense. You come out to defend. I know that it's not given to a lot of people to just accept and say, "Oh, yeah, dang, it's true. I should have." Yeah, it's not given. Apologies, yes, an apology is needed. I would say an apology is needed to Nigerians because there was such a pushback before now submitting himself to the authorities. And I think for me, what would interest me is the reason why he now turned himself in.
Yes, I think for every Nigerian, this is not a case of what happened. I think we know what happened, but it is how it was handled. Because the pastor could have been transparent from the beginning and claim ignorance, if that is his honest truth, and say, I didn't know this was illegal.
And I've had this experience. And I'm very sure many in Lagos can. Anybody who walks past my car window now, I think back to when I was robbed. So I'm always, you're walking by my window, I was like, so a lot of people would have empathized. It was in the handling, it was in the tone, it was in the words used.
And that still goes down to the fact that every person that is a supposed man of God is human. These are the things that show you that they can err. You know, there's so many things you do in retrospect that you I should have.
But people want to coddle them and say that they can't err or that they you have no right to call them out.
So are you telling me all the men of God have been called out for abusing people's children should be kept under the table because they are
people wanted to keep them under the table? They'll tell you that in bringing them out, they'll tell you that in calling them out that you're actually calling out the Church of God. And this is touching of the man of God with the church
that everybody quotes. Touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. It depends on
who is the anointed. There are some people like Tolu say that some people that God called that called God.
So at least this is in the hands of the Lord.
One of my favorite passages in the Bible is like, judgment will start from the
house of God. No, it's the truth. You haven't said anything out. I just want to see how everything is going to play out. Now that it's in the hands of the police, we are waiting to know what happens. Can I ask
one very quick question, ladies? There's some people who believe, because it's a recurring theme I'm hearing online and even among staff, that this is a distraction. This is meant to be used as a distraction from what is happening in Benue, from some of the issues that are happening. And I just want to say one final thing. I said it then. I need a lot of people to ask themselves, if this was a Nigerian politician, would they have given him the grace that they wanted to have extended to Pastor Adefarasin?
We should chew on that while Lolo takes us on.
Anyway, coming up on Jasiri, can artificial intelligence really find the poor? Nigeria says it's using AI to identify vulnerable citizens. In a country with no national AI policy, no data privacy law.
Why are you laughing?
No, Mukonkani. And patchy infrastructure. What could go wrong? Our guest is one of the leading voices on AI in Nigeria, Emeka Okoye, knowledge engineer and generative AI architect. He joins us after the break because it's an interesting conversation I can't wait to unpack.
Welcome back to the AI version of the show. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so join the conversation on social media. We are at News Central TV. Today, we dive into a complex but urgent conversation at the intersection of technology, governance, and social justice, one that many may not even be taking notice of. The Nigerian government says it's using artificial intelligence, AI, to identify the poor and vulnerable, a digital leap that could revolutionize how social protection is delivered. But with no national AI policy in place, no robust data privacy laws, and limited public understanding of how this technology works, the move raises important questions. Can we trust the code? Who writes the code? And what are the implications for the people it aims to help? Joining us today is someone with deep insight into this evolving landscape. Emeka Okoye is an innovative knowledge engineer and generative AI architect. With decades of experience in semantic technologies, open data, and intelligence systems, he brings a critical lens to both the promise and the peril of deploying AI in Nigeria's development agenda. Emeka, I know it's a mouthful. Welcome. Is this the AI version of you or the real you?
No, for now, it's the real me.
You have an AI version of you,
Yeah, very soon.
So have to start asking.
We are reaching to that point, you know, where we need to ask. These are the things we need to get prepared for. Absolutely. Because it's just like, you know, the knife, you use it to cut your apples, you can also use it to kill.
Sure. So let's start with that. Now, many welcome the news that Nigeria's government was being progressive, using artificial intelligence to find the poor among us. But there were also many who were skeptical. In fact, they were wondering exactly how is this endeavor supposed to work. So let's start there. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Natawa Yawada, said that the government used satellite imagery to locate urban slums, then base stations and telecoms data to identify phone numbers in these locations, that the AI then helped generate a list of urban poor individuals by verifying those numbers, their access to financial services, and other indicators. And now the National Social Register has grown from 13 million to 19.7 million people. So I know the minister didn't go into the full details, but understanding the Nigerian government, civil service, our current infrastructure, data availability, and even the digital literacy landscape, everything that we've heard so far, was it technically feasible?
All right, so I have a voice in this situation because I've been doing open data since day one, or let me say day zero. Day zero was the moment Obama's administration started, because and I need us to understand this. So open data and open government became a thing after the Obama's historic campaigns, which were data dependent. So they had data that they used in knocking on doors, you know, to know voters who will vote for them and manage the voters and use that to win the election. Now, I need us to understand that, because the fundamentals of government is, you know, transparency, accountability. Okay? So data creates that opportunity for us to be accountable. Okay? So the first, one of the first executive orders by Obama when he came in was that government data should be open by default. Okay, so maybe where there are security implications, it doesn't have to be open. Open means that the data is available for everyone.
Already.
Now, that data being available for everyone is for people to use that data to monitor governments, improve the environment, improve economy. You know, that's fundamental. Now, this is the foundation. So you see, we are talking about accountability, responsibility, you understand, and transparency. It's fundamental. These things happened in 2009. That's when the administration came on. And we all heard about the fight between Obama and the security services on the BlackBerry phone. So data. So he's on top of things. He needs to have the data. Now, this is the number one government official is on top of things, data. Good. And that simmers down to the civil service.
Wow.
And that's how the movement of open government, open data started.
Wow.
So that openness means that we can see how government thinks, the data they use to make decisions, and then, you know, we'll feel, you know, there's the concept of wisdom of the crowd. So the rest of the country could see what the government, how the government thinks. If they feel they have something better, they offer. Data also gives a voice.
So data is
Yes, so with data, I can contribute. Oh, this is wrong, this is better, and all that. Now, add that to what we call research.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emeka. Let's bring that down to Nigeria a little bit. What do Nigerian government, what do you think they mean by they want to use data to identify poor people? What data or algorithm do we have that can currently make this happen?
I just gave you why, you know, the basic of modern government, transparency, responsibility. So what have they done in the past? So this is the question we all need to be asking. What have they done with poor people?
Additional cash transfers?
Because, what has that done to the society?
So, I mean, is it feasible in any case? Because you need history. You need to come from somewhere. We don't have that.
No, we should think about that. What is the desire? Are we really for poor people? Because I can tell you, if you look at the data from 2010, 2011, the population of poor people have been growing.
Has increased.
Increased. So again, the question, what exactly do we want to do with poor people? Is the desire first, then before we start talking about the data and the algorithm?
You know, I'm a bit curious, as this sounds like something that we should be celebrating. Of course, everybody is talking about the involvement of everyone in AI, how we can make work actually easier and simpler. In fact, some people are even advocating it for schools, that children don't need to write serious assignments any longer when they can actually interact with AI. And this government that we're talking about, you know, to embrace technology and make use of it for a good reason, that is part of the things that we would always question. Because we have seen them interact with technology at different levels. It's like a touch and go situation. But we've had conversations on data privacy and more on this show many times, because somebody had come on this show to say that we can actually get some of our data sold on the internet for 100 naira. And Nigeria now wants to use AI, you know, deploy it for sensitive tasks without having like a robust national AI policy. How can we even get protection? Even the one that is just data that you are talking about open data, open government, we are having issues with that because data is sensitive.
Okay, so let me highlight something for you, and that's why the reason why I started with the Obama story is for us to understand the foundation of what government is supposed to be. If government is going to use algorithm to make decisions, who is governing those algorithms? It has to be open. In the world today, we are all pushing for what we call explainable AI. You understand? Explainable. We want to see how they arrived at that decision. Are those, you know, reasoning foreign or local? What do they mean by poverty? you know, and all that. It is, right now, data is meant to be sovereign because data speaks of the people.
Yeah.
So it's sovereign. So where is the data? We don't have a data culture. So the reason why I went back to that Obama lesson is to point out that, you know, we needed to have had a data culture.
Okay, so
and start building it up.
Let's say we have a data culture.
Yes.
Let's assume.
Yes.
We know that AI systems are only as good as the data,
Yes.
the info or the data you put in them.
Not really. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Okay.
Yes. Now that's the point I'm trying to point out. Is that, you know, the data sings a lot. The question is whether you can listen to the music.
Okay, so let's say the data is singing well for us in Nigeria and we're listening to the music perfectly. We all know that there's still some ups and downs when it comes to us as a people, as a government. So what will happen, how reliable would the data be for Nigeria and for the government to collectively work on poverty? How do we interpret that? Let's say, like I said, let's say we establish that we have a data, we have a history of that. What risks do we face if data is biased or incomplete?
Again, that's what, you know, we need to go back and ask, what have we done with data? Because yes, because now you're bringing, you know, fairness. You understand? Good. What have we done? That's why I say that the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you can see the beauty, then you can admire it. The question is, are we admiring what is in data? We don't have that experience.
So wait, because right before you came out, we were talking about the fact that we're not a country that really does data. A lot of the times we have Western organizations.
Yes.
They come in, collect data, they go and they collate it, they put it together with their own lens and then give us our own data back.
Yes.
A lot of the times we're referencing World Bank, IMF, development organizations for our population, for healthcare statistics, for education statistics. And so it makes you wonder, so if we keep asking about what about the data from before, we can see what happened to the data before. So how are we leapfrogging from the fact that we don't yet even own the entire ecosystem and value chain around our data, but now we want to use AI to continue to find that data?
All right, so you hit on a major point, and this is the reason why, again, I'm emphasizing that as much as we have data, the desire of what we do with the data is far more important. So these foreign entities are not here to develop you and me. USAID is a good example, a reminder. So whatever they are doing it at, you know, to benefit them
first.
I'll give you an example. Let me digress so that you can understand how bad this situation is.
Okay.
The U.S. government support us in malaria, Ebola, and AIDS.
HIV/AIDS
Yes.
response,
For every dollar they give us, 89 cents are retained in America, and it creates 200,000 jobs and some other economic benefit. You are the one being given $1, but somehow 89 cents comes back.
No.
Okay, so if they are giving you data, that you should look at data from this point of view, it's definitely benefiting them. That sovereignty, we need to be in control. That's why I'm still going back to that foundation. That's why I'm giving you the foundation thing. What have we done in data?
Because what I'm interpreting now is we don't have the foundation. So if we don't have the foundation, what are they mapping? How are they going to use it? They say that they're doing conditional cash transfers to hundreds of thousands of families, their support, and even those conditional cash transfers come with conditions. That's the conditional part. I think things around education, healthcare for the kids and all that stuff, keeping your kids in school and all that. But if we are jumping to mapping poverty through AI, and we have not owned our data, we're not the sovereign owners of our own data, are we going too fast? Has the government, what is the word? Are we trying to close the door after the horse has bolted? Are we leapfrogging when we have not built the infrastructure?
Better. Do you see that word they call leapfrog? You know, nobody has leapfrogged anything. Okay, because everything evolves. Again, the world didn't get to AI by just bolting straight to it. It evolved from open data, open government, right? Okay, so everything was built. You know, like for instance, we are still battling with first world issues, first industrial revolution issues, water. Okay, so the thing is, this is we need to focus on the whole idea about data. Is that you have to be transparent.
Yeah.
We need to know what exactly they are doing with those transfers, how they are picking poverty. It has to be open, and then we can see whether there's going to be progress. Like I said, the population of the poor has been increasing since.
And we've been having this data.
Yes. How do we know that these transfers, will be effective, or what kind of impact? Because we need to see the numbers. But let's twist it the other way. So we've been seeing the pattern in the budget.
Yeah.
All right. So that's.
The discussion today is about AI, and as the use of AI grows in society and within government structures, the conversation around the ethical use of AI is still growing. After the break, we'll look at the ethical considerations Nigeria must keep at the forefront as AI use deepens within the country. Stay with us.
I'm laughing at myself because of what I'm about to tell you. So our guest today is Emeka Okoye. He's a leading voice in semantic and data technologies with expertise that spans the data pyramid, from foundational data management to advanced cognitive systems, with specialization in ontology engineering and taxonomy development, symbolic and generative AI and knowledge representation, data modeling and metadata management, natural language processing, and semantic technologies. I needed you to understand who we brought to have this conversation. So Emeka, let's move.
How are you normal? No, because I had tax or something. That's
Robotics, it just takes it so you move.
Robotics is a law.
It's more than that. That's the thing. It's so much more.
So most of what was read was related to data. That's to tell you how much work we need to do. So let me give you an idea. I know we want to talk about ethics, but quickly, let me point out like two of my favorite AI countries, UAE and India. Right?
India.
Yes. Oh, India is doing so well. The beauty thing about India is that, and I think I tweeted it a few days ago, is that there is an government entity called India AI. And one of the pillars of that entity is Ministry of Education. Yes. So the thing about India and UAE is that they didn't join the open data movement until 2012. So the developed countries moved in, the whole of Europe, America, Canada moved in 2009 to 2010, and that's why they've developed to where they are. So there is a culture of open data, openness. If you go online, Google, even the individual states in America, they all have open data framework. So government, for instance, will say, oh, we have a problem, of transportation. How can we improve transportation to the people? Prior to that, they've already opened all the data sets around transportation. So now they'll bring journalists, they'll bring innovators,
engineers,
and this is, so look at all the data. This is our infrastructure information. How can we make this thing better? And we're going to support you. And that's it. That's what data does. It brings out, it brings the voices, it brings the wisdom with the voices. Yes, and we all co-create. Government becomes a part of the co-creation. Government becomes part of the co-creation. So think about your civil service, then think about the recruitment scam that happened. Anyway,
why did you do that?
Why did you do that? You just lost insight.
What is that? It's like, oh, damn it, too. But let's look at the ethical considerations, because we're just talking now about the people who are supposedly mapped in this poverty data mapping that Nigeria did. Where are their rights in all of this? And if we're using this as a test case for how Nigeria can bring AI into governance and work, what are the ethical considerations that we need to put in place for a government that is now looking to use AI? We don't have a national policy, but we've already done the first government AI thing. Are they even going to acknowledge if there were issues, if there were errors? We won't hear. So we don't know how they're going to get better along the line. So what are the ethical considerations that need to be at play here?
Okay, so first, I think there is a policy. I think it was withdrawn or is in draft mode.
I think it's in draft.
Yes, I'm not too sure. But anyway, before I answer this question, I need to say one of the places, one of the things that I'm not happy about implementation of or whatever they're trying to do in AI in Africa is that AI is being seen as a technology play rather than a philosophical play. Yes, so rather than looking at it from the technology point of view, we need a lot of philosophy, which we are now diving into.
Yes, into policy.
Yes, ethics. Now, think about diverse country like us. We have issues. You know, we don't have institutions. We cannot successfully implement AI if we don't have strong institutions that are there to protect us. You know, religion, tribal. I mean, we also, after the election, did any institution come up to say anything about the tribalism that went during the election? No. That's why you see, you need your data out first, and then we have the challenges of state of origin. Okay. So, you know, it's all about, you see, that's why I said the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beholder. It's not the beauty. It's the beholder.
Who calls it?
So the beholder, what is the beholder seeing? What is the desire of the beholder? Good. So we have a lot of issues. Then we have colonial legacies. How does it come into play? There are some things we need to reject. Yes. You see, now I'm trying to point to you that AI should not be seen as a technology thing, rather from a philosophical point of view.
I don't think.
Wait. It's not.
You want to add more?
Oh yes. You know, we really need to say it. You know, look at Nigeria, for instance. We don't even have a gender-friendly city. We don't talk about cities. Do you know what cities does to our life? Cities where we live. We sleep, we go to school.
But Lagos is a mega city.
So, the thing is, we need to, you know, this is the thing that we all need to take seriously, you know, with data. We're using data to build cities. And now, like in Europe, I live in Europe, AI is already making decisions, you know, for cities. Like, let me give you an example. Right now, we're having over-tourism issue. Over-tourism means that a lot of tourists are coming in, taking up all houses.
Rent crisis.
No, like Spain, Portugal.
So the rent situation.
Rent situation. No, like now, you know, in my previous job, I did a housing analysis for a particular popular city that you all know. And in the report, we said Airbnb owns 3.5 years of supply of accommodation in that city. They hold yes. Now, you know, and this is again why we need open data and explainable algorithms to tell us, you know, what decisions need to. So because we need to protect, you know, the vulnerable, you know, those
residents, the taxpayers.
Yes, we need to. So it's really important. That's why, you know, I started with that. So there's so much, we have so much, religion is a big deal.
Yes.
Are we sure that the algorithm is not going to favor one?
It's not going to skew
the other. And how can we get proof that it did it? Again, you need
because I think that was part of what she brought up in terms of the bias. Because the algorithm is made by people, and people have their biases.
We need to know
how does that remain neutral? Because I mean, it's a brave new world. It's a new world we're entering.
Okay,
this is a new dispensation, a new dawn.
Yes. So you know, we need guardrails. And where does guardrails come from? It comes from the government.
I think that is my next question.
Wait.
I think that leads to my next question. Because a lot of people will say there's no reward for simply having ideas. It must translate to results. Yes, the government has said they want to identify poor people. For this to work, how do you think we need to start? You know, what industry, policy-wise, infrastructure-wise, what industry, and how does this translate to like the human capacity? Is it just identifying them? You know, what can we do with this after?
Okay, so Now, I'm going to say something here that some people will disagree, but I stand on it.
Yeah.
There's no immediate benefit of using AI right now for us in Africa.
You said what?
There's no immediate benefit of using AI right now.
In Nigeria?
Right. Wow. Now let me give you a clue where that thinking comes from. Then right, you know, ChatGPT and Co has been in existence in the past 3 years, and is available to everybody, and it's one of the most popular sites. So what has that been? The people who want to make Nigeria a better place, what have they done with it to improve? But anyway, let's go into the most important thing for me. Is that I prefer we go have government reforms. We need to prepare government for this thing. We do not have that kind of government.
We also don't have the time.
No, we have to do it right. I am for government reforms. I don't believe there's an alternative. So we need to prep our civil servants. It's very key.
What did you say?
We need to prep our... I'm not saying retain
our civil service is still analog.
Wait. Let me say, we need to reform government. And that means we need to ship some people out, bring in some people. If there are people that needs to be retained, fine.
Do you think this is possible?
We can't leapfrog this because you can't layer. You can't build things on
nothing.
There's no on the sandy.
You know, I even want to ask. I know that this idea probably popped into somebody's head because the world has been talking. You know, Nigerians, once we come into something, sometimes we do things like every common person. It's like a fad. This is raining, and we need to get in on it. But who is advising them? Not knowing all this education that you gave us, which is so fundamental, that you need to have this before you can do this.
And let me jump on that, Lolo, because if we're talking about where you're going, look at the local context. We are such a diverse people. There's ethnic diversity, there's economic disparity, there's digital divides. Now, how do these play in shaping the AI policy of this country?
Okay, so let me say, and this is why, you know, we need to focus on what's important. Right now, there's no part of Nigeria that has 100% potable water.
No.
Good. Now, the desire to give potable water cannot be improved by AI. That is the desire, because AI is a tool. No, AI is a tool used by humans. So it will exacerbate our desire, our strength and weaknesses. If you don't have the desire to give your people as a government worker, if you don't have desire to give your people water, AI can't force you to do what you don't want to, because AI will not go and fix the water corporation. It's
so there must be a willingness first.
The willingness. So now you understand the government reforms. Then that willingness to be able to share the thinking of the government via open data is fundamental.
You keep saying open. Now you know that in Nigeria, that is something that we can't have.
You know it's close.
Because even when it comes to data that you are supposed to be able to access from government agencies about even things that are not hidden. I'm not talking national security. I'm not talking
FOI, they don't respond.
Even the Ministry of Information that is supposed to be giving us information. We still have a lot of closed door meetings, closed door policies, we don't have access to anything that is even normal. So how are we going to get into this new era?
That comes back to my reforms. We need the right people. We don't have institutions. Name one strong institutions we have. We don't have.
Strong institution.
Any institution.
The presidency is a strong institution, guys.
Well, with what has happened between Benue State and Enugu, I think that answers your question.
But where do we listen?
You know, they say you are not at the beginning. So you need to start at the beginning.
You have to.
Because they're trumpeting this thing. The headlines are there. Nigeria's government is using AI to find the poor.
Yes,
so we must go through the fire.
Let me say this thing, because this is a bad habit of us. we're in a hurry.
Yes,
So,
I accept.
We just want to jump on that wagon.
look at where Nigeria is. What have we done right in the last 60 years? What have we done right?
But you see this thing that you're saying,
Yes.
before we get our fingers around this,
Everybody else has moved.
Everybody has
They
moved.
have been moving. We are right now.
so how many years do you think we are?
What are we even saying?
We're right now. Wait, we're right now less than $850 per capita GDP. You are among the top 10 oil producing countries.
Yeah.
And you cannot show me a city that looks like a suburb in Dubai. Not even River State.
It's not fair.
So how?
No. So tell me
AI should not be, it's not that AI should not be on the agenda. So it should be further down
Yes.
on the agenda.
The agenda now that we need to even
Can we
get
walk,
ready to
Emeka,
be-
can we walk and chew gum? Can we focus on providing 100% potable water across the country while some are working on an AI policy? Or is it a situation where we need to lay those foundations completely before we even pick up pen and paper on a national policy?
say, this is the thing. For me, my interest is for Nigeria to improve. To improve. Me, I know AI is not going to improve what we have.
Right now.
So we need to improve ourselves first.
That's what Bukari last too.
AI will just tell you you need potable water across Nigeria. That is not new information.
And the thing is, it's true. It's going to take the data that's
That's
available.
available and tell it to us. You need to have motorable roads.
Yeah, I think more people need to focus on, catching on, but, we should focus on how well we can catch on. Also, the government agencies need to admit to things like data leaks because we cannot move forward without all of
Wait,
these things.
but why are we so much in a hurry to catch on rather than us to live well? Life expectancy is 55 years
For
old.
men.
You know, we
You only have a few extra years over that.
in Spain, that is like 86 years. 86 years.
It is.
Have you talked about the quality of air,
Mr. Emeka, if we knew that you were I thought that we were going to have a really wonderful digital conversation.
I was going to clap for the government today.
But when I was reading out my intro, I knew that this was, I do not consider that it was not a laudable project, but I know that it is laughable at these times because the things that we are still dealing with are fundamental.
No one has told us how much it costs.
Don't worry now.
Anyway, as Nigeria flirts with the future through artificial intelligence, today's conversation has reminded us that technology alone is not a solution. It's a tool. And like every tool, how would we use it? Who decides who matters? Emeka Okoye has helped us to peel back the layers on the critical truths, no matter how painful. That deploying AI without policy, protection, or public accountability risks not just inefficiency, but it's like injustice. So the question we'll leave you with today isn't whether Nigeria should embrace AI, but how and for whom. The future is not waiting. It has been written, line by line, code by code, policy by policy. The time to act is now. We want to say thank you for being part of this bold conversation. This is Jasiri. I will surely see you again tomorrow.